So, have you ever looked at a business and wondered how it can go from just bleeding cash to becoming this, well-oiled, profitable machine? Well, today we're digging into a real-world case study of a lawyer whose business was, frankly, broken. And we're going to look at the 4 key changes that completely turned everything around. Okay, let's just dive right in.
This is where we're starting. The business was losing $100,000 a year. And get this, it wasn't because the service was bad, not at all. It was because the entire business model was just fundamentally flawed. It's a classic case of having really good intentions that lead to a completely disastrous bottom line.
All right, so how do you even begin to fix something like that? We're going to walk through the exact 4-step framework they used. First up, building a solid foundation with something called the 1-1-1 rule. Second, plugging all the holes in their marketing, the leaky bucket. Third, totally rethinking how they price their services. And finally, building a sales system that actually works, again and again.
Okay, so the first and honestly the biggest problem was what you might call the help everyone mindset. This lawyer, he was trying to be everything to everyone. He had courses, software projects on top of his main legal services. And while that sounds kind of noble, in reality, it meant he wasn't really serving anyone well. The business was just hemorrhaging cash and focus.
The solution? Getting brutally focused, using the 1-1-1 rule. It's so simple, but man, it is powerful. It means you sell one core product to one ideal customer, your avatar, through one main channel, and you stick with that and only that until you hit your first million in revenue. It's really about the power of saying no to almost everything so you can say a big yes to the one thing that truly works.
So, how did they actually put this into practice? It wasn't just, a vague idea. It involved 3 really decisive actions. First, they had to kill the vampire that was draining all their resources. Second, they totally repositioned all their educational content. And third, they made a hard commitment to serve only their absolute best A-list clients. That first step, killing the vampire, is such a powerful idea, right? For this lawyer, the vampire was a software project he was really passionate about, but it was just the black hole for his money and his time. And look, that's a really tough call for any founder to make, letting go of a pet project. But by shutting it down, they immediately freed up all these crucial resources to pour back into what was actually working, the core legal service.
Okay, let's move on to problem number 2, because this all builds on each other. Even with perfect focus, your business is going to fail if you can't get customers in the door reliably. And their problem? The traffic was totally broken and almost purely accidental. They basically had a very, very leaky bucket.
The journey a potential customer had to take was just pure chaos. I mean, the owner was making great YouTube videos, but he had 0 clear calls to action. So a client would watch a video, and then they'd have to just randomly search for his Instagram, find it by pure chance, and then, on a whim, decide to send a DM. He was literally getting new business by accident, leaving thousands of dollars on the table every single month.
So the fix here, and this is the crucial part, it wasn't complicated, but it was systematic. They started adding direct calls to action, CTAs, right in the YouTube videos, telling people exactly what to do and where to go. Then they put that same CTA everywhere, in the video description, the pinned comment, the channel profile, and they started proactively DMing new followers, asking them straight up, are you here for free stuff or do you need legal help? Instantly qualifying everyone.
All right, so now they've got focus and they've got leads coming in. But the third huge problem was crippling their profit. They were charging by the hour. And as soon as you do that, your expertise becomes a commodity. You're suddenly forced to compete on price instead of on the value you provide. And the shift in their pricing was just dramatic. They went from a $250 hourly rate to a $5,800 flat fee paid up front, plus a small commission on the back end. This did 2 absolutely crucial things. It captured the real value of the outcome they were delivering, and it perfectly aligned their success with their client's success.
This right here is the core mindset shift. You have to get this. People were not buying the lawyer's time. They were buying the dream outcome. For them, that was getting their music IP protected so they could land a big record deal. When you start pricing the dream, you completely disconnect your income from the hours you put in.
But here's the big question. How do you make a price tag of almost $6,000 feel like a complete no-brainer? Well, you introduce a powerful psychological tool called a price anchor. So alongside their main offer, they created a second option, a $25,000 flat fee with 0 commission. And this is just brilliant psychology.
When you put those two options side by side, that $25,000 anchor makes the main $5,800 offer look incredibly reasonable. In fact, it looks like a steal. It guides the customer to the exact choice you want them to make without any of that hard selling.
Finally, let's hit the fourth and final problem. They had focus, they had traffic, they had pricing all figured out. The last piece of the puzzle was sales. And before, every single inquiry was handled ad hoc. Just random calls, no process, no consistency. It was totally unrepeatable and completely impossible to scale. So what did they do? They built a machine, a repeatable four-step sales motion. It starts with something called a VSL, a video sales letter, to educate prospects. Then a form to qualify them. After that, a structured sales call. And finally, a downsell offer for anyone who isn't a great fit for the main service.
Now this VSL, it's an absolute game changer. It's just a short video that does all the heavy lifting for you before you ever talk to someone. It explains exactly who you help, what you do, and answers all the common questions right up front. This means you only spend your valuable time talking to people who are already educated and genuinely interested.
Next up, they filter everyone through what's called a BANT form. This is a classic framework, it's been around forever, and it just makes sure every lead has the right budget, the authority to make a decision, a real need for the service, and the right timing to get started now. No more wasted calls with tire kickers, it's that simple.
And for those people who do pass that filter, the sales call isn't some random chat anymore. It's a structured conversation that follows a proven script. Using a sales framework like this ensures every single call is consistent and persuasive, guiding the conversation towards solving the client's problem and, of course, dramatically boosting the close rate.
So let's just recap this whole transformation. They went from being unfocused and trying to help everyone to being specialized and laser-focused. They went from leaky, accidental traffic to a directed and captured flow of high-quality leads. They went from a commoditized hourly rate to premium, value-based pricing. And they went from random ad hoc calls to a predictable, scalable sales system. This four-part framework completely turned the business around from losing 6 figures a year. And the amazing thing is, these principles are universal. It really leaves us with a question for anyone out there running a business or even just a side project. Looking at these 4 areas, which broken system is holding you back the most? Which one will you fix first?